Welcome to the course Knowledge Engineering with Semantic Web Technologies. This is Lecture 1, Knowledge Engineering and the Web of Data. And in this section of the course we will talk about the limits of the current web. You know, we were stuck in the last section with the problem, what is the meaning of the information that is put on the web? And we have seen that to determine the meaning of information, it is rather important, for example, to make clear what is the semantics, what is the context, what is the pragmatics in which the information was sent or put on the web. So this is really difficult. For example, from this ambiguity of natural language and from these difficulties of language understanding, several problems in the traditional web come from. So for example, first problem would be information retrieval. On this slide you see here the result of the Google image search if you are looking for Jaguar. As we know, Jaguar might have several meanings, and this of course is reflected here also in the web search. So if you have intended to look for Jaguar cars, for sure you will not be interested in pictures from the cat. So the problem here is traditional keyword-based search leads to too many not relevant results, because keywords can be ambiguous, Jaguar for example, and therefore they can have different meanings. So this ambiguity also is often referred to as polysemy, for example. And there can be different contexts in which a word is used, and it can have different meanings therefore. So this is really a problem. So first problem, too many not relevant results, it means too much noise. On the other hand, for example, if you want to specify the cat, and the cat has the Latin name Panthera onca, and you're looking for Panthera onca in the search engine, the problem with keyword-based search engines today is that also if they make a full text search, if you're looking for this Latin term, of course you will not find a website in which the cat Jaguar is only referred under its name Jaguar and not under the name Panthera onca. So it means if you have synonyms, for example, or even worse, if you use pictures to describe something, like metaphors, then you will not be able to find all important results. So this keyword-based search that is taking place in the web today has two problems. First problem, too much noise because of the ambiguities. Second problem, not necessarily all results because of synonyms, because of metaphors and other things. I can talk about something without naming these things. Then you won't find it, not even in the full text search. So this is the first problem today in the web when it comes to information retrieval. And maybe we can solve this with knowledge engineering and semantic technologies. Let's take a look at another problem. The other problem we have also talked about already about that, it's information extraction. So we have here this interesting website, and if you don't know the language, you have no idea what the information that is presented here really means. It's even more difficult if you don't have textual information, if you, for example, have multimedia information like this picture. What does the information in this picture mean? So even for us humans, it's difficult to interpret the information. We can see some trees, we can see forests, we can see colors, and we might think, oh, this is a photograph that has been taken in autumn, for example. Yeah, that's true. But is it really the meaning of the picture? No idea. So information extraction is something difficult, and most times it can only be solved correctly by a human agent. But you see here, correctly is written in quotes. This means every human agent might have another context, might have other pragmatics, might have other kind of experience and world knowledge, and therefore its interpretation of the information might be different. Yeah. Also, alone the distribution of the information and the order in which information is presented has several effects on the meaning. Therefore, software agents who try to understand this, they do not have sufficient knowledge of context, they do not have sufficient world knowledge, and they also do not have sufficient experience in solving that problem. So therefore, for a software agent or for a program, correct information extraction is even more difficult than for a human being. And even more so if there is some implicit knowledge that is hidden in the picture, for example, like this. So what do you see in the picture? Even if you can interpret the picture, you see a hat, a deer stalker, and you see a pipe. Those of you which know Sherlock Holmes for sure can interpret this and say, this is a picture of the necessary accessories of Sherlock Holmes. But for this you need lots of implicit, of hidden information and of world knowledge to which you can relate what you see here. And usually this hidden information is not specified explicitly, but must be derived via logical deductions from available information. So you see information extraction not only from obvious information that is provided by natural language, is sometimes really difficult. And this is, of course, also one of the problems in the web today, which we have to solve. Okay, we had information retrieval and information extraction. Another difficult problem, which also comes with the size of the web, is the maintenance problem. So just imagine you have a rather complex and voluminous website. Then, of course, the maintenance of this only weakly structured data will be really difficult, will become difficult. Simply because of two things. You have, of course, look for the consistency of your data. Consistency, what does it mean? Syntactic consistency is pretty easy. You can check this with automatic tools. So for example, if you have a link to another website, to another document, and you change the address of the document, then the link becomes invalid. This is pretty simple because you can check this via web server communication and then see, okay, you have here invalid links, and then you can take some methods against it. Much more difficult to solve are so-called semantic inconsistencies. What are semantic inconsistencies? Semantic inconsistencies in the same sense, you have a website and a document that is linked to another document. Here, something changes on the linked document, but not the address of the document, the content changes. And if the content of the document changes, the original link that points to this document might be invalid in the sense that in the document referring to the other document, the author of this document might have thought by installing his link about the content of the other document he refers to, and now when this content has changed, there might be a mismatch, a misalignment of the understanding of the content. So maybe it links to something which means something completely different. So the link is there, you don't have a web server error, but the content of the target page is completely different. To solve this problem is even more tricky, but even if the content changes, the meaning might stay the same if you express some things with synonyms or in another way. So this is difficult to check. Therefore, you have to understand the content, and we run into the same problems. So especially if you have to look at the time, so it must be efficient, you must consider timeliness, and to prove these semantic inconsistencies, to check for them and to solve them, this of course is rather time consuming, and this will not work for really complex and voluminous websites. So maintenance is another big issue in the web as it grows every minute. And the next point would be personalization. So we know all of us have other information desires. Most of the search engines take already care for that. So what they do is they try to look for our searches and what we pick from the searches, and then they make kind of profiles, and according to these profiles, the results of the search engine, they will be reordered, re-ranked to fulfill our desires. So personalization in that sense means adaptation of the presented information content to the personal requirements of the receiver. And the problems that we have here is, of course, from where do we get this information? So usually if you are using a search engine or another service on the web, these services, they take their information from our interaction in the past. So they keep a log file about our interaction. Sometimes we do not want this, because this, of course, means some lack of data security, because I do not want to pass my information. This might be personal. So if I don't share this information about me and my behavior, then it's difficult, of course, to adapt to my personal information needs. So you see here is some concurrency situation. So this is also really difficult to solve. So personalization is another big issue in the web today. So overall, we have 4 big issues. First is information retrieval. How do I get the information? And if I have the web page, how do I extract the information from the web page? It's information extraction. Then I have to think about maintenance and to keep the consistency of my data and of the meaning of the information. And fourth, the personalization. These are the main 4 problems that we also try to address in the course of these lectures. So you see lots of problems, and the question now is does this mean game is over? We will see no, because simply the web becomes somehow intelligent. I should have written this in quotes. So in the next part of the lecture, I will show you what does it mean when we talk about an intelligent web.